Councillor Burnside.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So my understanding is that traditional cab companies and PTCs will be allowed to...
No, but I'll correct it because I want to. Sorry, Councillor Burnside.
That's no problem. My understanding that basically the industry is allowed to reduce their price. Is that correct?
Reduce
their price, the standard price. It can drop it down.
Yeah, we did that here at this council.
Correct.
We took it down by $1 to try to, based on things we'd heard, to try to make it more competitive, especially for hailing, for people to.
But also in the course of competing, PTCs, cab companies can reduce their price not below $3 on the pickup, but they can reduce their overall price.
No, they now have the ability to discount at the brokerage level if they wish to do so,
which is a huge advantage to the public.
Well, one would hope so if they choose.
You.
Yes.
Thank you. In terms of surge pricing, and Councillor Carroll was very helpful to me, helping me understand the complex issue of snow tires. So I want to talk to you. Thank you. I want to talk to you just about item number 11. It says City Council not require that taxi cab brokers pay the driver the difference between discounted or flat rate and the city regulated rate, correct?
Yes.
So the city's not requiring, but in the course of negotiation between the cab driver and the brokerage, it's up to them what they do. The brokerage may in fact decide to subsidize that discount.
Yes.
Thank you.
I hope they do.
So in terms of so on the flip side of that, Mr. Mayor, in terms of surge pricing, so even if they don't negotiate it and the driver, whether it's a PTC driver or a taxi driver, bears the brunt of that price reduction, if the price is surged, and quite frankly on New Year's Eve when I'm trying to get some transportation, I'm willing to pay more, so I actually have no problem with that, but that's me personally. When the price gets surged, I presume, and it's my understanding speaking to staff, that the driver will benefit from the surge.
That's correct.
Thank you. My last question is has to do with the accessibility part, and that's number 7. First page. City Council mandate that any PTC that has more than 500 vehicles. I know this was a concern of Councillor Wong Tam's about how do we ensure that they provide the accessible service, etc., with comparable wait times. It's my understanding, speaking to staff, that if they don't live up to that that requirement, that we can not only can we fine them, but we can take them to the tribunal, in which case they could have their license suspended or revoked. That's my understanding from speaking to staff.
Here. Certainly, that would be a violation of this bylaw, because this bylaw would contain this provision that requires that they not only have a plan in place, but that they deliver that equivalent service.
Okay.
So if they don't deliver that equivalent service, it's a violation of the law. I can't answer whether that allows us to take their license away.
But would you agree that if they violate this, our powers are the same as if they violate anything else?
I would go a step further, I suppose. It's dangerous to do so, but I would have said if we can take their license away for not having the right insurance in place, that we should be able to take their license away up to and including that sanction for not having a proper program in place to deal with the issue of accessibility.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Burnside, your motion is ready.
Yes, Madam Speaker. It's an amendment that City Council require that every vehicle used as a taxi cab, limousine, or private vehicle for hire be equipped with 4 snow tires or all-weather tires every year from December 1st to March 15th. Madam Speaker, all-weather tires are different than all-season tires. They are actually approved by Transport Canada, tested as a snow-winter tire. The rubber remains soft in colder conditions. And just by way of example, in Quebec, as I'm sure you're aware, all-season tires are not permitted during the winter, but all-weather tires are. I think this is a good compromise that I would like members to support. No, can I speak? In terms of the mayor's motions, I call this a close call at home plate. One way or the other, about half the room is not going to be happy. However, I do support the Mayor's motions. It enables the industry to offer everything Uber does and still maintain the sole ability to pick up street hails and passengers at cab stands. In terms of Councillor Perk's question, who wins? I believe the public wins. The public overwhelmingly wants the availability to choose PTCs. Some may choose cabs like I do, but they want that choice. I'll tell you who else wins. People with mobility issues. I sat through the deputations. I listened to the people with mobility issues, and I heard them say, this is the best service we've had. Our wait times are comparable, and we're saving money. And affordability is an issue, and I'd like to speak to something that happened in February. It was actually a motion by Councillor Layton. He brought forward a motion that, quote, asked that, quote, we support and uphold the CRTC decision to allow for more competition in the internet industry. During questioning, Councillor Davis actually said that we should support the competitive approach, with one of the driving forces being cost and making internet access more affordable. It was stated that affordability is an equity issue. Now, if affordability of internet access is an equity issue, and we need more competition when we already have 119 internet service providers, then surely affordability, accessibility, and increased competition in ground transportation is also an equity issue. Madam Speaker, we're in a time of transition. As Councillor Holland has alluded to, or spoke to, I should say, within 5, 10, 15 years, we'll be dealing with driverless cars. General Motors alone has already invested $500 million in Lyft because they see ride-sharing services as the early adopters of this technology. And like it or not, our city has to compete with every other city in the world to attract jobs and businesses. This isn't just a question about the taxi industry. This is about how we conduct business. And believe me, the business world is watching. Do we stifle competition by imposing onerous and nonsensical regulations that some people in this council would like to see? Or do we encourage it, that is competition, by finding the least imposing ways to ensure safety and the public good? Thank you.
Thank you. We do have a question for you. Councillor Karygiannis, 3 minutes clarification
Thank
of
you,
the
Madam
motion.
Speaker. I listened to when, through you to the councillor, I listened when you were talking about the snow tires and you asked about the EMS and the police. Are you now saying that we should look at EMS and police with all-weather tires? Is that what you're also recommending?
No, it's
I don't know how you inferred that, Councillor Karygiannis.
Councillor Karygiannis, clarification of the motion that you have
Well, I am.
before
I'm
you.
at a loss.
Because he spoke at it.
No,
He spoke.
but that's not his motion.
Fine.
That's not his motion.
But you understand where I'm going to.
Thank you.
Councillor Karygiannis, you have to, if you want clarification of the motion, you look at the motion and you ask questions on the motion that's before you. Councillor Fragadakis.
Thanks,
to
Madam
speak.
Speaker. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, you put your name up there late. Okay. Just a moment. Councillor Lane, question to Councillor Burnside.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. On the motion, I'm curious, why would you add something like all-weather tires if this is a notion of letting the market do as it may? Why would we need to dictate all-weather tires?
Well, I think, as you would agree, Councillor Layton, it's all about finding compromise. And while I actually believe that it's not necessary, given the number of snow days that we have, and as you and I both believe in global warming and those sorts of things, I think it's about finding compromise. So I'm trying to find the best compromise, which I think we're all trying to do.
But the requirement for us to have either all-weather tires or snow tires, this is a safety thing. We're putting some parameters around the safety of vehicles, right? That's why we regulate, perhaps?
Well, I mean, that's possible. I know that the original requirement for snow tires, there was no, snow tires, winter tires, there was no staff report. So I question whether this is really just death to competition by 1,000 paper cuts, but I'm willing to concede that some people do have legitimate concerns, and I'm willing to find that compromise.
So you don't think that the city should be in the business of regulating for the purpose of public safety?
Well, it's always, Councillor Layton, it's always a question of how much do we regulate? What are the outcomes? And I know we like to, in this chamber, we seem to like to worry more about the rules we impose as opposed to the outcomes. So, I mean, quite frankly, probably a better measure would be to put regulators, speed regulators on every vehicle in the cab industry. We know that speed kills. We know that there are far more accidents related to speed. So, you know, if you want to propose that motion, I'd probably support that one more. Yeah.
Sounds like a very good motion.
It just depends how much regulation you want. Some people, you know, think that cab drivers and PTC drivers are responsible and that they will drive according to the conditions. Others, I guess, don't.
But I think that your motion is quite rightly highlighting the point that that governments do regulate for safety, but perhaps just open competition for the sake of enriching the few may not be the reason why we regulate.
What I'm
Okay, Councillor
conceding here
Layton,
is that there are some people like a lot
Councillor
of
Burnside,
regulation. I'm just trying to
Councillor
find that
Burnside, I think
compromise.
you've answered that question 6 different ways.
Well, I was looking for you
Yeah, I'm saving. Councillor Wong Tam,
Yes, thank you very much.
clarification of the motion.
Yes, correct. As a believer of climate change, as the councillor has stated, you would also be a believer of extreme weather conditions then, as a offset of climate change.
Yes.
Okay. Why are we stopping the implementation and requirement of snow tires or all-weather tires on March the 15th? Why have you chosen such a short period of time? You're essentially saying 3.5 months of
I
snow.
thought I was going with what the original motion was for snow tires. But you know, it's always that risk-reward proposition, Councillor Wong Tam. I think that there are going to be extreme weather conditions, and yes, they do occur. But as through my questioning through the speaker to Mr. Buckley, they're so few and far between. And our city staff do a fantastic job of clearing the roads that I think that putting in that regulation is so onerous given the potential beneficial outcomes.
Okay, I believe that you've answered that question.
Madam Speaker, I still want to ask, I'm not quite there yet. It won't take too long, but this is actually, it's a serious matter. I recognize that.
Yes, but
if
it's just tires.
I
Like,
know.
how much more clarification do you need on a snow tire?
Well, for anyone who's actually been in an accident in the winter,
But-
they're gonna recognize that this is a serious matter. With respect to the date, I just want to say, because if we're going to be making the requirement and asking for snow tires or all-weather tires, then why not just simply extend the period of time? We saw snow in our city as late as April.
So
why not make those requirements? Or
if you want to
those
make that
adjustments?
friendly amendment, my issue isn't so much the time as it is the tires. So the all-weather tires, I think, do the trick if they're in Quebec, where their winters are quite a bit more severe than here. If they're allowed there, I think it's more than acceptable for us to permit those tires to be used. But if you want to extend that, by all means,
I'm hoping
because
you could do it so I don't waste my time speaking about it later on. I'd like to speak about some other matters.
absolutely.
Okay,
No problem, because the whole idea is that they
Okay,
stay on the car all year
Councillor
anyway.
Burnside, let's cut this. Councillor Fletcher, do you want clarification of the tires?
Yes.
Clarification of the tires. What do they look like? Are they round?
Okay, go ahead.
These are all season tires.
No. They're all weather. They're an improvement on all seasons. All seasons are not winter snow rated by Transport Canada. They're not permitted in Quebec, whereas all weather tires, which were developed in Finland, are permitted in Quebec during the winter, and they are approved by Transport Canada as snow winter tires.
Now, would you agree that there's certain types of conditions on the city roads that you might not have actually in a place where there's more snow, and that becomes the freezing rain and the condition where it rains and then, or snows, It snows and then it thaws.